Hello, welcome to Homework Help, the Algonquin Area Public Library's volunteer-run homework help video series for all ages. I'm Volunteer Stephanie, and I'm going to show you how to graph circles today. So I have a few helpful tips when it comes to identifying circle equations. If you're on a test and there are a bunch of different equations that look all the same, if you just go do like a little checklist, you'll easily be able to identify what it is you're graphing. So first things first, if the coefficients for x squared and y squared are the same. Coefficients means whatever's in front of the x squared and whatever's in front of the y squared. So here we have nothing for both, so it's just 1. Here it's 3, and here it's 6. So we can check that. Next, both x and y are squared. Well, we actually just went over that. Perfect. And finally, both the x squared and the y squared are positive. We've got a positive sign here, 1 here, and 1 here. And then because there's nothing in front of these 3, it's just a positive. So check. These 3 equations look kind of difficult, maybe even convoluted, but if you complete the square, if you do a little bit more algebraic work, you should end up with something that resembles the equation that we learned today. I'll write it one more time, just so you don't forget it. And there you go. Alright guys, so before we can start graphing our equation, we need to know a little bit of background information, starting with the circle's equation. Now, when you're given the equation of a circle, it might be in different forms, but I'm going to show you what we call the standard form of a circle. You should get x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So that is our standard equation for a circle. Now, you're going to derive your center from these 2 points, h, k. Now, please note, in this equation, we see a minus sign next to h and k. Therefore, if you had, let's just say x minus 5, your h coordinate would be positive 5. Just be mindful of that. And then we derive our radius from this right here, r squared. So your radius is not going to be whatever is in this position, it will be the square root of that. So if we have 25, make sure you know that that equals r squared, not r. So our radius is just r, and that would be the width in every direction of our circle. Okay, so now that we have our background information, we can finally put that to the test and actually graph a circle. So I'm just going to give a simple equation, x squared plus y squared equals 9. So as we said before, we have our standard equation of a circle. I'll write it one more time. And we must remember that we derive our center from the points hk. Well, we don't have hk. All we have is x squared plus y squared, meaning our center is just going to be at 0, 0, which makes things kind of easy. So let's just plot at 0, 0. Now, our r squared currently equals 9. Well, that means that our r is 3. So we can just graph it. I just go on the x and y axis when I'm plotting my points. And sometimes it's kind of difficult, but that doesn't look too bad. So that's just a simple equation, simple graphing, and that's what we should start out with, just a simple problem just so we get the background information in our heads. We have another example. We have x minus 1 squared plus y plus 1 squared equals 16. So I'll write it one more time just so you guys can remember. This is our standard form of a circle's equation. So again, our center is going to be hk. But remember, we have a minus sign here, so it'll be flipped. We'll have 1, and then this is also a minus sign. Let's just recall. So this will be 1, negative 1 for our center. Again, r squared equals 16, therefore our r is 4, 2, 4, 2, 4, And that is another example. Well, it's not a very good circle, but that's another example of graphing a simple equation. So for my next example, we have an equation or a problem that doesn't really resemble the standard form of a circle. There's no parentheses. Our r squared is a very small number that we usually don't associate with having a nice square root, but nonetheless, we're going to make it work. So I'm actually going to bring down my work to here. This is the equation from above, and I'm going to teach you something called completing the square. So we take these two terms, x squared plus 4x and y squared minus 10y. Let's just take x squared plus 4x, bring it over here, and then same thing with y squared minus 10y. So we need to complete the square. I'll show you what that means. You're going to take half of this term, this coefficient in front of just x, not x squared, just x. You'll take half of that. In this case, it's 2, and then you'll square it. In this case, it's 4, and then you will add that right here. I'm going to show you why later. Same thing on this side. Half of 10, or negative 10, doesn't really matter, is 5. Squared is 25. And then let's add that. So this way we are finally able to factor and sort of get the same written example as we had above. So now we have x squared plus 4x plus 4 plus y squared minus 10y plus 25. But in any algebraic equation, whatever you do on the left side or even the right side, you have to do on the other side. So we have 3 plus 25 and plus 4. So now if you're familiar just with factoring, we can factor this term as well as this term. So we will end up with x plus 2 squared plus y minus 5 squared equals, that's 32. Well, now we have an equation that resembles the standard form. If you recall, looks like this, and it looks quite similar. So now all we have to do is graph. So I'm going to bring up my work back up here. So I'll just rewrite the equation from before, just so you don't forget. That was a minus, sorry. Okay, so now we can finally do some real work. Our center, as we said, is HK. So I'm just going to write it here since it's kind of stuffy. We'll have a center of -2, +5, and radius, well, our r squared equals 32, and that does not have a whole number of a square root. But if you do know, 5 squared is 25, and 6 squared is 36, and 32 happens to fall between those two numbers that have a perfect square. So it's going to be somewhere between 5 and 6, but the actual answer would be 4 root 2 if you're interested. So now I'm just going to circle or underline the things we need to know. So let's go to -2, 5. And we're going to go a little more than 5 points away. Somewhere up there. Somewhere over here. And like that. Now when we draw, oh gosh. Oh dear. It's really hard to get it right. Oops. Especially when you're doing it on something like this. But overall, that's what your circle should look like. Hopefully it's better than that. But that's the general idea of how to complete the square in a circular problem. All right, thank you for joining us on Homework Help today. If you have any video suggestions or are a teen who would like to earn volunteer hours by recording a video for us, please email Lindsay at teen@applet.org. Thank you so much.